Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain Realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit HomeGain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain Realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain Realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to HomeGain.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Real Estate 360 Live. I am your host, Ryan Sloper, joined by my guest, Louis Cammarosano, the general manager of HomeGain. Quick reminder that Real Estate 360 is designed to build the Washington, D.C. Metro's housing and credit markets one house at a time. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to us is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. Or you can visit us via the web at realestate360live.com. That's realestate360live.com. You can go right on there and ask me a question. There's a link right on there that says ask a question. I'd be glad to answer that. Also, we've recently added an enter to win where you can enter our monthly giveaways. Just enter in your first name, your email, and your phone number, and we are offering just a random prize once a month. So you can do that on realestate360live.com. Now, Louis, I wanted to ask you guys, I believe you're getting ready to release your HomeGain National Homeownership Satisfaction Survey tomorrow. Is that correct?
The formal press release goes out this evening, but we do have the results on our blog at homegain.com or blog.homegain.com. The results are now available.
Okay, they are available. Would you mind giving us a glimpse into what this survey showed?
Sure. So we were interested to find out, given the price declines over the past 5 years, whether home ownership was still a desirable thing for the people who own homes. And we surveyed over 1,400 homeowners across the nation, and we found nationally that 72% were satisfied with owning a home, and we found that only 28% were dissatisfied. But then we went a little deeper, and we wanted to know why they were satisfied and why they might not be satisfied, and we wanted to know what particular regions of the country they were more satisfied than others. We wanted to do it by age group. We wanted to do it by when they bought the home, and so on. Home ownership, people are satisfied with mostly not because the price went up. That was a reason for 24%, but most people name the traditional things why they like a home, because they have control of the environment, they can change things that they want, they're gaining equity in their homes, and so on. Now, of the 28%, 28% that were dissatisfied, a large majority of those are dissatisfied, frankly, because the home went down in value. 63% said they were dissatisfied because their home lost value. So there is a economic basis. However, there's about 40% of those that were against home ownership, not just because the home went down, because they kind of had sticker shock in the cost of keeping the home up. Taxes, repairs, and the like. The one shocking thing, though, not shocking, but the one thing that's a bit troubling in the survey is that the satisfaction rates of those youngest homeowners is only 45%. That's a little surprising because it means that the newer homeowners are not as satisfied. Now, the ones that purchased recently and the ones that purchased short sales and foreclosures were the most satisfied, not young, just nationwide.
Right.
The people, that makes sense because you're getting a bargain. And also, if you bought recently, you haven't really experienced price declines.
Right.
We found that the people that bought in the last 5 years, they're the most dissatisfied, and that makes sense because they're the ones who've suffered the highest price depreciation. Those that purchased homes under $75,000 are the most happy, and that makes sense because they probably got a bargain. And those that bought over $800,000 homes are the most unhappy. Those in the Northeast were the most happy, and those in the Midwest were the least happy. So there's a lot of data on the HomeGain blog. For a data junkie, you can go through and look at by region, by age group, by when you bought the home, the price of the home, and so on. And you can, all the information is there in charted data, so it's very easily digestible. And we've also included scores of quotes from homeowners as to why they're satisfied or dissatisfied. So you can go check it out yourself at homegain.com, click on the HomeGain blog portion of that, or just go directly to blog.homegain.com.
That's great, Louis. And it's interesting because, you said about 28% were not so thrilled with home ownership. And that's almost directly in line with the proportion of people in the United States. About 1 in 3 households are underwater currently. So I feel like that statistic's almost dead on. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Sure, and 63% of that 28% said it was because the price went down.
Yeah.
There's always going to be people who buy a home and are not happy. They prefer renting.
Yeah.
It seems that in general, people who buy a home, as long as they don't lose a lot of money, are happier owning a home than not owning a home.
Well, let me ask you: do you have any insight into why only maybe 45% of the young homeowners were satisfied with purchasing a home? I mean, that number is kind of striking.
I'm looking through some of the comments, and I didn't really see. I saw a lot of reasons for being unsatisfied, but they didn't relate to the age of the owner.
Right.
Here's one: too much work for a single person.
Yeah.
I don't know how old this particular person was, but that could possibly be it.
Yeah, because I would think that like you said.
Here's another reason. It's not in here, but young people, if they're unemployed at greater numbers, want to be mobile.
Right.
So they can go get a job somewhere. So you're probably better off renting. You can leave your lease and go get a job somewhere. So perhaps being tied down at a young age may make it. And the other thing, we haven't done this survey before, so I don't know if that number's always like that. Maybe younger people who buy between the ages of 18 and 25 are unhappy.
Well, one of the things that I was thinking of, Lewis, too, is, and I just came across my head, is that, a lot of the time buyers, when they're looking at homes, sometimes they, what they envision more of as their dream home or the home they really want to go after is the home that they can't necessarily afford. And the, qualifying for a loan has become a lot harder than it was a year, 2, 3 years ago.
Well, there's that also, but you just sparked another thought, is if the young homeowners are buying ones that require a lot of repairs, because they can't afford a more expensive home, they need to buy a fixer-upper. Maybe that's another reason why they're sour on home ownership.
Yeah, that absolutely is a big headache. And I think that, a lot of people that initially are buying a distressed sale, a short sale, or foreclosure, and they think they're getting a great deal, you have those, a small set of those homes that are move-in condition. But then
But that flies in the face of the statistics that we have, because the people that bought short sales and foreclosures were the most satisfied. But perhaps a subset of those, maybe young people don't want to spend their weekends. They want to go out and party. They don't want to spend their weekends fixing a home up, whereas somebody in their 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s who buys a short sale foreclosures knows that they have a bargain and wants to fix the home up, and basically that's their recreational activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you do have those bargain hunters that are out there and all they care about is just finding a deal. And then you have the other set of people that are out there that are trying to find, I'm not necessarily as worried about the price of the home. I want to make sure that it's affordable, and I want to make sure that it's move-in ready and I don't have to do anything to it. So I guess it really just does speak to, everybody has different needs and wants. And, I think that a lot of the time in this market, you're able to get great deals, even though they may not be foreclosures or short sales. But when I say great deal, I mean you're locking yourself in at a long-term fixed rate somewhere around 4%, protecting yourself from future inflation. So to me, if you're able and willing and you're in the market now and you can afford to, and it makes sense, you're going to keep your family around here, your job's going to be located here in this area for a while, it makes sense to consider buying. I mean, there's so many pros for it. I mean, and getting back to, 5 years ago, everybody was just trying to buy a home to flip it 2 or 3 years later and make a profit. But you know what?
They weren't focused on home ownership.
Exactly.
The concept, they were thinking they were going to make money from buying a home.
Exactly. And we need to kind of, completely get away from that. And I think that we have for the most part. There are still, there's a lot of deals out there to be made as far as investors that are looking to buy and flip or buy and hold. There's still a tremendous of opportunities out there.
Yeah, but it's not cocktail party talk about people buying homes, selling, and they're making money and encouraging.
Exactly. You're dead on there. And more or less it's kind of, people are being more cautious with their money. And they're not near as willing to try to jump into a real estate investment unless it makes sense. I think though that the people that do have additional income and are there, this is like a beautiful time to buy a second home if you're actually able to, if you have the income and employment to support that. Even if you're buying taking out an investment loan where you had to put down 20%, you're still going to probably be in the 4%, high 4 range, which is outstanding. I mean, you can lock in, your investment income on that property for 30 plus years.
Well, historically, real estate's always been a sound investment, and that was the mistake Bernanke made. He said, well, we've never seen consistent declines in the real estate market. Well, that's true because we had never seen such stratospheric rises in the real estate market. But generally, once prices stabilize, you could do very well with owning a home and owning it for the duration of your mortgage.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you keep up with the repairs, you pay your mortgage. And that's the problem with people who bought 5 years ago. They were sold that concept, but then they were also in the back of their heads thinking it was going to go up 20% a year when it already had gone up, 50% from 4 years before they purchased it. That's where people got into a pickle.
Yeah, and they took out interest only adjustable rate mortgages that the potential lender or broker at the time had said, oh, don't worry about a 3-year adjustable. It's going to go up another 20%. And we can refinance you back out of it.
Those are not the tenets of home ownership.
Not at all. Not at all.
Gambling. That's gambling, and you wouldn't. No sane stockbroker would loan you $500,000 to go and buy a basket of stocks. So why the banks loan $500,000 to people to gamble on a home is beyond me. But it's not. It's because they were guaranteed by Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, and they were encouraged to do so.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting point, Lewis, because when I talk to a lot of listeners and people out there, it really is important to figure out what your short and long term goals are. Now, when I say short and long term, I mean if I ask somebody, hey, do you plan on living in this home for 5 to 10 years, and they're like, yeah, well, I can see myself there for 5, but we might be there for 10. Well, if you might be, then I don't really think it's appropriate to give you an adjustable rate mortgage for 5 years if you definitely think that there's a good possibility you're going to be there for 10. And a lot of people step out on a limb and just say, oh, well, we can probably pay the difference when that arm adjusts. But, that changes a lot of things, in life when you're paying another $200 or $300 a month if it adjusts up. And
it could be more than
that. And
that.
it could be more than that. So, I think that it's very important to make sure that if there's any chance that you're going to be in a loan for a longer period of time, that I need to account for that.
Yeah, it's not home ownership if you're planning on moving in 2 to 4 years.
Right. Yep.
That's the same as just renting it from the bank with added responsibility and greater liability if you don't pay.
And if you are planning on moving in a quicker time frame, what you're suggesting, Lewis, then it probably is pretty prudent that you do find of something that is more of a deal that's, in a neighborhood that you're buying it a little bit below value that you can maybe fix up a little bit and try to get back out of it later.
Or rent until you're ready to settle down.
Exactly.
I saw that in the mid-2000s in Southern California, there were families moving every 2 years to take advantage of the price appreciation.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that, I think people are becoming, more in tune with what's going on, and I think that they are being, taking that smart play and renting. And when we come back, we're going to actually jump into, with one of our credit experts, Ronnie Lambeth. He's going to discuss foreclosures and short sales, and can they be removed from your credit report when we come back. Thanks for listening to Real Estate 360.